Let's talk about USA basketball. Did a video yesterday afternoon late that Caitlin Clark is among a number of participants that's headed to the senior training camp for Team USA. Now, I would assume, right? Oh, they've learned all kinds of lessons after failing to put Caitlin Clark on Team USA during the
moment felt like an explosion ripping through the entire league, blowing apart any hope that things were finally changing. Fans were still buzzing over Caitlin Clark's long-awaited call to the senior training camp when a fresh Team USA graphic surfaced, a flashy welcome announcement. Except the faces staring back weren't the ones anyone expected. The brightest, most transformative force in women's basketball had been wiped from the picture. Her absence wasn't accidental. It hit like a staged humiliation, a very public sidelining that unleashed a storm of outrage and left supporters burning with disbelief at the sheer audacity of the slight. This wasn't a clerical mistake. It was a calculated signal, and the suffocating silence from the people in charge made it even more unsettling.
USA. Now, I would assume, right? Oh, they've learned all kinds of lessons after failing to put Caitlin Clark on Team USA during the Olympics. By the way, of which the guy that runs the 2028 Olympics, he come out and said he thought it was a terrible idea leaving her off the team. Adam Silver said, hey, I think this was an opportunity that they could have had to have grown women's sports. Something that I and many other Caitlin Clark fans also said. Do you want to grow the sport? Do you want to...
The sting of the Olympic roster fiasco still lingers. A raw wound where Clark was shockingly excluded despite a tidal wave of public outrage. Many had hoped, perhaps naively, that USA basketball had learned from that catastrophic misstep. Yet here we are, staring down another bewildering decision that once again sidelines the explosive potential of women's basketball. The pattern is impossible to ignore. Clark's meteoric rise, her electrifying influence, is treated not as a priceless asset, but as a problem to be managed. It's a miscalculation so monumental it threatens the sport itself, leaving fans outraged and pundits reeling in disbelief. The message is clear: opportunity squandered, and a legacy of misjudgment continues to unravel before our eyes.
On women's sports, something that I and many other Caitlin Clark fans also said. Do you want to grow the sport? Do you want to... I said NBC should have been furious that she was not on the Olympic team. They might have shattered potentially actual Olympic basketball records, maybe outside of the old Dream Team kind of records, right? Back when television ratings in general were just higher because there was no streaming services, yada, yada, yada. But you get my point. It'd have been a huge rating.
Powerful voices from the top eviscerated the original Olympic snub. The head of the 2028 Olympics, a man whose sole mission is to captivate the world, openly called it a disastrous blunder to leave Clark out. Even NBA Commissioner Adam Silver stepped into the fray, condemning the move as a colossal missed opportunity to propel women's basketball onto a global stage. These weren't casual critiques or polite suggestions. They were scathing indictments from the pinnacle of professional sports, exposing a jaw-dropping disconnect within USA basketball's inner circle. The warning signs were blindingly obvious, and yet, the leadership chose to ignore them completely, leaving the consequences to unfold in full view of the world.
It'd have been a huge rating. Instead, they continue to treat Caitlin Clark like she's a leper. What are we doing? What are we doing? The WNBA, Team USA, I don't understand. When I did my video last night, I had not seen this. Shit, I got up this morning and I seen it now. And we'll get to the reaction. By the way, heads up, Christine Brennan's the one that really caught my eye on this. And, you know, just to put it out there.
Picture the outrage that should have consumed NBC, the searing frustration that went unspoken. With Clark on the Olympic roster, TV ratings could have shattered every expectation, even rivaling the legendary Dream Team's historic numbers, especially in today's hypercharged media environment. Yet that golden moment slipped through their fingers, abandoned. The chance for record-breaking viewership evaporated into thin air. This wasn't just a victory for women's basketball, it was a broadcasting jackpot, a cultural and financial tidal wave deliberately ignored. The sheer short-sightedness defies belief, leaving millions in potential revenue and global attention sitting untouched, a monumental opportunity cast aside with reckless disregard.
They had added the photo of one other player to this graphic, but no. I'm going to keep it real. She's the only player I'd have put on that graphic. The only player. I mean, at some point, this women's basketball has got to quit worrying about hurting people's little feelings. Seriously, do you want to grow or do you not want to grow? I mean, you put Kaylee Copper, okay, Kelsey Plum, and I'm guessing this is probably Chelsea Gray, right?
The latest flashpoint in the mounting fury erupted from a sharp, unflinching post by renowned sports journalist Christine Brennan. She cut straight to the heart of the matter. If USA Basketball truly wanted to grow the sport and captivate new fans, Caitlin Clark would have dominated their promotional imagery. Her words, simple yet brutal, exploded across social media, amassing over 250,000 views, and throwing USA Basketball onto the defensive.it was an unmistakable revelation the public saw through the facade. Every hollow promise and empty gesture of engagement was laid bare, exposing a gaping chasm between the organization's lofty proclamations and the stark reality of their actions.
Guard than Caitlin Clark. And I paid attention then long enough to throw up in a bucket. I mean, this is nuts. USA women's basketball is back. 18 athletes will attend December 12th through the 14th, Durham, North Carolina. By the way, you want to know one reason why the ratings were down for the last Olympics on women's basketball? People boycotted it because Caitlin Clark wasn't named to the team. I remember.
The graphic itself spoke volumes, almost screaming its own betrayal. While stars like Kelsey Plum and Chelsea Gray were front and center, the one athlete who has become the undeniable face of the sport was completely absent. Across social media, the reaction was electric, a chorus of disbelief. Wait, who are these players again? This wasn't about diminishing the talent of others. It was about recognizing a global phenomenon, a cultural force impossible to ignore. Yet USA Basketball seemed determined to let internal politics outweigh common sense, deliberately sidelining their most marketable and recognizable star. It was a bewildering strategy, one that actively undermined the very goals they claimed to pursue.
People boycotted it because Caitlin Clark wasn't named to the team. I remember. That was a huge story on this channel. A huge story. So, a lot of people noticed Christine's post. It got over 250,000 views. And it looks to me like that USA Basketball chose to leave the conversation with her share, because look.
The fallout from the previous Olympic snub was far from abstract. It had real, measurable consequences. Fans didn't just grumble. Many boycotted women's basketball games entirely. Ratings collapsed, a direct and undeniable backlash against Clark's exclusion. This wasn't idle chatter. It was a coordinated, passionate statement from a devoted fan base, loud and impossible to ignore, and yet, USA Basketball appeared to turn a blind eye to the warning signs. Now, with this latest perceived slight, the threat of deeper alienation and further plunging viewership looms ominously. It's as if they are determined to repeat history, heedless of the high cost. The opportunity to truly elevate women's basketball at the 2024 Olympics was squandered, and the saga continues, unfolding with every shocking decision.